Welcome back. Before we start with the session 5 of the seminar, one of our speakers of the session 4 is leaving, so we'll have the felicitation ceremony first. May I request the General Officer Commanding in Chief, Southwestern Command, to please come up on stage to give away the mementos to our esteemed dignitaries. Our first speaker, Major Rajesh Pathak. Sir, I request you to come up on the dais, please. Okay. Dr. Anupam Sharma. Dr. Shivaraman. Dr. Yatan Kumar Mishra, Mr. Yatan Kumar Mishra. Dr. Meena Mishra.
After a short tea break and a fruitful interaction, we now begin our final session of the seminar, Unifying Strength, Military-Civil Technology Fusion. The session presents a strategic blueprint for institutionalizing as a national catalyst for the defense innovation. Our speakers will bring out priority areas for dual-use technologies and capability development for building a resilient collaborative ecosystem.
The moderator for the session is Ambassador Sujan R. Chinoy. Sir, may I request you to please come up on the dais, please. Ambassador Chinoy is a former Indian diplomat and the Director General of the Manohar Parrikar Institute for Defense Studies and Analysis. In a career spanning 4 decades, he was ambassador to Japan and Mexico and the Council Journal of India in Shanghai and Sydney. A specialist in China, East Asia, and politico-security military issues, he headed the Indian side in the expert group of diplomatic and military officials negotiating the counter-building measure dialogues with China on the boundary dispute. He was the chairman of the Think 20 engagement group for India's G20 presidency. He is the author of the books World Upside Down, India Recalibrates its Geopolitics, and Global Tumult, India as a Pole Star.
Amongst the panelists, let's welcome Major General C.S. Maan, Ati Vishisht Seva Medal, Additional Director General Army Design Bureau. Sir, I request you to please take the designated chair. General Maan was commissioned into the Armored Corps in 1990. He has had a varied experience in command, staff, and instructional tenures. The officer commanded an armored regiment and an independent armored brigade in the Western Theatre. He was Brigadier General Staff at the only operational area headquarters, and as Brigadier Capability Development, he was handling the big budget capital procurements. The officer is currently one of the key facilitators of indigenization and infusion of niche technologies in the Indian Army.
Our next speaker is Dr. Arshad Jamal, Scientist G. Sir, may I please request you come up on the dais, please? Dr. Jamal has been associated with Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, DRDO, since 1998. He did his master's and PhD from IIT Kanpur. He has spearheaded multiple programs on autonomous robotic systems, and currently he is leading the team to develop cognition and autonomy for various ground and aerial robotic platforms. His main research interests includes computer vision, autonomous perception, and computational AI.
I now invite Lieutenant General Raj Shukla, Param Vishisht Seva Medal, Yudh Seva Medal, Sena Medal to please join the panel. General Shukla has commanded a medium regiment in the Eastern Theatre, an infantry brigade in counter-insurgency operations, an infantry division in the Kashmir Valley, and a corps in Punjab sector. He superannuated as the General Officer Commanding-in-Chief, Army Training Command. Currently, General Shukla is a member of the Union Public Service Commission and a visiting fellow at the Center for Land Warfare Studies. I now hand over the session to the moderator.
Good morning to all of you. It's very good to be here today in Jaipur. I've done a hat trick because in 4 days I've gone on from speaking at the Center for College of Air Warfare to the Naval War College and today in Jaipur. But I'm glad that I've come here. And I want to begin by thanking General Manjinder Singh, GOC&C Southwestern Command, and General Dushyant Singh, DG Clause as well, for inviting me to this very important tech seminar. Our session has a very relevant topic, military-civil technology fusion. I'm the moderator, but since I've been given 10 minutes to speak as well, I will run counter to the logic that the moderator is to be seen and not to be heard. But I do have things to share with you. And so I will take the liberty of using the next 10 minutes to quickly go through my thoughts and perhaps to give the frame of reference to our esteemed panelists. I'm among friends. I know all three of them very well. As a member of the DRDO Review Committee set up by the government in 2023, I had the unique opportunity to get to know people like Dr. Sharma and Dr. Arshad, and have also visited most of their laboratories. General Shukla, of course, needs no introduction at all, and nor does General Man. But let me come back to the topic. So the first point I want to make is that high-end technology today is at the heart of contestation, and it's not very fungible. That's the main point. A commercial purchase of high technologies comes at a very steep cost and runs the risk of dependence and manipulation in wartime. So giving you an example, if the US restricts export of semiconductors to China, the only way China can hit back is if it has something which it can deny to the other side. And in this case, denial of rare earths, for example, which are integral to the development of US weapons systems, is something that allows the two to negotiate. So there lies a lesson for India as well. No country can hope to fight wars and prevail without possessing critical technologies, especially indigenous technologies. Possession of critical technologies offers leverage in state-to-state negotiations. And if you go back to the era of détente in the Cold War, the Soviet Union gained through cooperation in the space sector with the US. Similarly, the US under President Reagan transferred many dual-use technologies to the People's Republic of China. And today, India stands at a critical juncture in its ongoing military reforms. Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense production means self-reliance, not self-sufficiency. I think Dr. Sharma also referred to the fact that DRDO also seeks a lot of international collaboration. So it's not an autarkic concept to close our doors to collaboration with foreign partners. And that is why India is negotiating hard today to obtain vital TOT for example, domestic manufacture of aero engines for futuristic aircraft like AMCA-2 and TED-BF. Now, even if we do so successfully, I feel we'll still be reliant on external supply chains like GE for a long time to come. Because when you look at the Tejas Mark 1 and Mark 1A, and Mark 2, these are platforms that are likely to be around for the next 30 to 50 years. And each of them will require at least 2 to 3 engines. And if we have hundreds of these aircraft, we are looking at total dependence on the United States for the next 50 years, potentially, for fighter aircraft engines. This is with regard to GE 404 and 414. So give a thought to that as well. We must also learn from the experience of others, like the United States and China, so our circumstances are very different. Particularly, how did they get things right? In the case of the United States, for example, DARPA has been leading the charge of the Light Brigade by not exactly doing things itself, but by identifying the right entities and companies and laboratories and funding them appropriately to develop these technologies. And in any case, you go back to the dollar CEOs of the Second World War, where the US suddenly came up as the world's largest defense manufacturer and eventually exporter. And this experience is well encapsulated in a very nice book that was gifted to me by Mr. Baba Kalyani. It's titled Freedom's Forge by Arthur Herman. I urge you all to read that book. Now, coming back to Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense production, it enhances our strategic autonomy, makes India more competitive within global defense supply chains, including as an exporter. Now, I feel that the R&D labs in India, particularly the DRDO labs, have done a splendid job, a commendable job. But I would be dishonest if I did not add very quickly a caveat that there is great scope to do much more by way of creating a better tandem with the stakeholders, end users, particularly the armed forces, and with industry and academia as well. And this I say as a member of the DRDO review committee, so you will forgive me if I'm being a little frank and honest here. The private sector is taking deeper interest in defense technologies in India, and this should be encouraged. And at the same time, we have to ask ourselves that will we ever have, for example, an Elon Musk with a Starlink that can deny, war options in, Crimea because he does not subscribe to that? So is that what we would like to eventually see in place, or would it still be our official structures that will decide matters of war and peace? We have done well, I would say, especially startups of late through schemes like IDEX, which was mentioned a while ago, Sprint for the Indian Navy, Meher Baba for the Air Force, and the DRDO's TDF to a certain extent. I mean, the amount has been increased from 10 crores to 50 crores, but I think not too many have actually received those 50 crores. So we have to be very careful about ensuring that once we have the finances, they should be made available readily to the private sector as well. We should recognize and appreciate the great work that's been done by the Naval Design Bureau. It has an excellent record of design and development of warships and submarines. The Indian Army's Design Bureau has also made very good progress in recent years in achieving Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense manufacturing. But the key point here is the need for our armed forces to place greater confidence in made in India equipment. Now, if the armed forces themselves have no confidence in our domestically produced equipment, we cannot expect the global users or potential users or buyers to have any kind of confidence in our equipment. Another point I wish to make is that we must consider creating national champions from among the leading players in the private sector. It doesn't always have to be about dividing the order, and try and give it to as many people as possible, because then, as I've seen from my limited perspective, but was also briefed to that effect, that the two ATAGs being made by Kalyani and Tata are essentially, after a while, two different guns, and there's a lot of stuff there that's common, but a lot of it which is not common. And this comes from the horse's mouth. So are we looking at that? We must also emphasize the need, not only for importance given to L1 in tendering, but also to T1, because you could have L1 give you, low end of technologies, whereas T1 coming from some champion whether it's a startup or a bigger company, can actually give you what you really need. So we need to also eliminate and pardon me for saying this, but artificial costing and below cost bidding by established DPSUs, which often take the wind out of the sails of the private sector. And thereby we must create a level playing field for the private sector. India also needs a new kind of self-reliance in which our defense research laboratories and industry develop their own IP with greater potential for delivering spin-off benefits to the national economy through dual-use technologies, particularly to SMEs and MSMEs, large industry as well as academia. Even transfer of technology for production without joint development of IP or ownership of IP has limited benefits, in my view. The way forward, and I kind of test your patience here, but I promise to say nothing thereafter. The way forward, in my view, is that an apex body should be created to examine and give directions on all aspects of high technologies, deep technologies, defense research and development. And such an apex body must provide a roadmap with timelines for fundamental research and futuristic and emerging technologies, and clearly indicate which projects are best done by DRDO and DPSUs or best done by industry and academia, or in a collaborative fashion. So this has to come from an apex body which makes this distinction. India also needs to spend much more, and this has been said before, on R&D, notwithstanding the recent generous RDI scheme. This we have to do in order to protect our own interests in the years ahead. But we must also have a financial framework that provides for failures. So the accountability has to undergo some kind of mental, transformation here, because there is a learning curve in technologies and there may be failures, but these failures eventually lead to success. So I think we need to be a little more generous with failures as well, including in the private sector. We definitely need a better tandem between our R&D labs, the armed forces, and tech universities. Available facilities, wherever they might be in the public sector, whether it's the DRDO or anywhere else, these have to be shared with the private sector for testing and validation. Above all, we must create our own standards and certification, especially now for the drone sector, which, as you have just seen, Operation Sindoor or otherwise, is playing an ever-increasing role. Post-Galwan also, we've seen the importance of drones. So at the moment, so-called made-in-India drones still contain parts that are foreign, alien, often from China. I am struggling right now to push the idea of creating a drone technology hub for military applications, purely catering to the needs of the armed forces, because I don't want to mix it up with civil aviation and civilian uses, etc., because then the focus is lost for the armed forces. And I'm trying to create this possibly at IIT Kanpur in partnership with Professor Manindra Agarwal, because out there he has a runway, he has limited airspace, and he also has a wind tunnel. And I'm glad to inform you that in February this year, when we did a 2-day event there with about 45 government participants from every conceivable stakeholding department, we saw some kind of consensus there. I thank you, General Man, for also coming all the way to Kanpur to speak at that event. One more thing that troubles me is that defense R&D labs should use the talent available in the armed forces. There are many people in the armed forces in uniform who have dealt with technology, with equipment over decades. And it would be very helpful if they are integrated into the laboratories. Even people who are potentially retiring from their service, I mean, they could be allowed to keep their uniform, perhaps even give them some kind of promotional avenue and allow them to go up to 60 in R&D labs so that we don't lose their technological expertise. And the areas today that need to be identified are artificial intelligence, quantum computing, computer science, biotechnology, advanced materials. A lot of speakers have alluded to this. AI is particularly important, and I'm sure speakers will address that because of the geometric pace at which things are changing there. Lastly, uh, you know, recent conflicts, including Operation Sindoor, uh, have also highlighted the importance of unmanned systems. I was also a member of the all-party delegation sent out by the Prime Minister for 14 days, traversing different parts of the world. And so we had a job to do out there to also speak about the success of Operation Sindoor and the whys and the wherefores related to terrorism. But one thing that I want to emphasize here is that we need to improve our domestic ISR capability. This is a key task for us, as seen from Operation Sindoor. And mind you, we are already dealing with, forget a two-front geographical situation. We are already dealing with two fronts as far as the Western Front is concerned because of the involvement in real time of ISR and other intelligence inputs by China to Pakistan. So we need to improve our act with regard to ISR. Our ISR remains highly classified, heavily dependent on foreign sources for high value inputs and at great cost. So a number of our startups are doing very well to develop software products for satellite applications, and they should be encouraged. We need to integrate all of this, the civil military intelligence in space, cyber, AI, unmanned systems, robotics, and what have you, to meet the needs of conventional as well as gray zone warfare. We have a great panel of speakers today in the order given to me, listed here. We have General Man, ADG, ADB. He will share his views on unified defense innovation and incubation hubs, particularly the link between army, industry, and academia. 20 minutes for you, less if you wish to give that for the Q&A session. Dr. Arshad, Scientist G from the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, CARE, will speak about dual-use technologies for military applications, and former Army Commander RTRAC and member of the UPSC, General Raj Shukla, will address the theme of capability development, gray zone warfare. So over to you, General Man, and thank you, panelists, for your patience. presentation. And without much further ado, I invite our next speaker, Dr. Arshad, to address the topic dual-use technology for military application. The floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we request the Army Commander to kindly felicitate Secretary TDB. He has to leave a little urgently. Thank you, sir.
So, yeah, good afternoon to all of you. At the outset, let me thank the organizer for giving us this opportunity to take part in this very important deliberation. The topic which was given to me, dual-use technologies for military application, I have no expertise on this. That is the admission. So whatever I'm presenting today is basically a study from whatever I could get from the open source material. And so I'm from Center for AI and Robotics, and we basically work on AI, robotics, command and control. Some of you might have come across the software that we have been developing for Army and for Navy. We also work on information science and information system, secure system, these systems which have been fielded, deployed at various places. So our motto is to add value to information and enabling battlefield dominance. That is the tagline for CARE. As far as this topic is concerned, we have been associated with several spin-offs and spin-on. So very, very early in my career, around 2001-2, when we were working on mobile robotics platform, so we basically did the spin-off for motorized wheelchair, and that was given to an industry, and then it was productionized. So our technology was leveraged there. Some of our work on manipulator arm was given for testing of nuclear power stations, steam generators. That was another spin-off. They were also given to other industries for handling hot material. Vision-based sorting system we had created, another spin-off based on our work on image analysis. During COVID, we had multiple such spin-offs. For example, for monitoring and tracking of potential COVID patient, our command and control division, they had created this app which was available on the mobile phone. We had created contactless face recognition based attendance system, which was again to prevent spread of COVID. We had done X-ray based COVID detection that was up and running and was used by doctors in the country. Similarly, now we are using a lot of technologies which are already there in the public domain and trying to spin on for the military application. With this background, I would move to the outline of my talk. So basically looking at the role of public-private partnership, transformative dual-use technologies, emergence of accelerators to address those technologies, role of startups in dual-use technologies, and some of the drawbacks if you rely too much on the dual-use technologies. So roughly speaking, anything that has got military and civil application can be called dual-use. But then we want to discard some of the apparels and the shoes and some of those things which are generally used by both civil and military. So different countries, they have given different definitions. For example, US calls items that can be used both in military and other strategic uses, and also the commercial application. The European Union says that items that include software and the technologies which can use both civil and military purposes. But broadly, it is basically refers to a strategy for improved productivity and efficiency for the armed forces. That is the bottom line, so that it can bring effectiveness both in the commercial and the military domain. So win-win situation for both industry and military. When we are looking at the dual-use technologies, there is a risk of proliferation, and that risk includes knowledge, technology, and artifact, all three components. If you look at the recent history, what you'll find is that there is a tremendous rise in the dual-use technologies, which basically reflects the paradigm change which has come up post-Cold War era. So a lot of change from state-dominated R&D effort to the private-dominated R&D effort, which has resulted into robust and fast-moving innovation ecosystem. And because of the dual use, both in the commercial domain and the military domain, it has also resulted into more economic activity. So kind of triangle what you are seeing, innovation for the national security provides economic prosperity. If you look at the dual use case possibilities, you can have commercial with basically COTS. So something developed for the commercial application, used for the commercial application, military can directly buy them. Something which is developed for defense, but which can also be used for commercial, subject to regulation. So that is where all the risk lies. People can misuse that. Something which is for defense and can be used by defense, it's only theoretically dual use, but it's for all practical purposes, it is single use. What we are most interested in is something which is developed for commercial and which can be used for defense, where the lot of funding is currently available, where a lot of talks are currently going on, because the new age technology, AI and autonomy has basically created that space. The role of public-private partnership is extremely important. In US, if you see, there's a very well-known example of the relationship between the Silicon Valley and the Department of Defense, which date back to early days of the Cold War. And so if you know about the Silicon Valley, you know that there are Stanfords and the UC Berkeley, which basically created that knowledge base, and then there are some very large industrial groups, the big companies which basically collaborates with DoD and the NASA kind of thing. And this whole effort was strengthened with suitable changes to the state and the federal laws. Basically, that kind of created this transformative Silicon Valley into world's premier technology hub. And what we found was that it created a lot of products, which even now we all know that internet was created as one of the DARPA project, GPS, the human assistant, Siri, the cardless tools, some of the simple things like water filtration system that we use every day, satellite television, all of us currently use there, were all coming, they all came out from this the Silicon Valley in California, USA. Now, coming to the transformative dual-use technologies, list of technologies where the dual use is possible, not in any order. The first one is advanced material. We need a lot of R&D to create materials which has exceptional strength, durability, some set of unique properties which can be used for both defense and the commercial application. The next is biotechnology and advanced medicine. You need R&D to create advanced medicine and also to do biodefense, genetic engineering, synthetic biology, development of countermeasures against biological threats. Next is the future generation wireless technologies. After the 5G, we are looking at the next generation technologies which are critical for ensuring secure and reliable communication, with every device becoming smart and every device becoming connected with each other because of IoT and battlefield of things and Supporting advanced military communication is going to be critical. So that is another area of R&D. Human-machine interface is another area for both civilian and military application, enabling rapid mission planning and command and control. Hypersonic vehicles for multiple civilian application, including launching of small satellites at low cost, and also creating hypersonic platforms. Integrated network of systems. We have to be able to communicate, share information in real time, and command and control in contested environment. Because these are going to be a different variety of systems, so we need interoperability across those systems, which could be legacy system, current system, future system. And this will also allow the government to communicate with the masses, to deliver services to the people. The next is integrated sensing and cyber physical system to improve situational awareness, decision making, command control. The next is the microelectronics, which everyone is using, and almost every system is using. So that is another important area. The next is the quantum science. So a lot of people talk about quantum technologies, quantum communication, computers. So that is another area which is going to positively impact the life of all of us, both in civilian in the military domain. The space technologies, we heard about that in the morning session. So space exploration, satellite communication, remote sensing, space situational awareness, both for civilian and military. A lot of devices are going to be autonomous, unmanned, so we need a lot of energy saving, energy generation, so renewable energy generation and storage system. And last is the trusted AI and autonomy. That holds tremendous promise. Everybody talks about that, to improve the ability and function of nearly all systems. So that is kind of foundational new thing which is there, which is going to affect almost every one of us. So we need trusted AI with trusted autonomous system to dominate the future conflicts. Now, because of all these transformative dual-use technologies, there have been effort to accelerate the development of those things across the world. So in 2023, NATO basically launched this accelerator called Defense Innovation Accelerator for North Atlantic. And that kind of enables deep tech and dual-use innovations. There are 9 key emerging areas that NATO has identified. So AI, data, quantum technologies, autonomy, biotechnologies, hypersonics, novel materials and manufacturing, energy and propulsion, and space. The next is the Future Combat Air System Accelerator by European group, Germany, France, and Spain. And that is kind of looking at the next generation system, next generation military system by 2040. And then again, the focus is, as a first round effort, they are focusing on disruptive sensors, enabling AI, 3D printing technologies, electronic material, and so on. Israel also has got its own accelerator to focus on developing AI-based solutions for aerospace, radar, robotics, and autonomous technologies. Allied Defense Accelerator by US and UK. And India on the similar line has got a couple of programs which is ongoing, which not directly addresses the dual use, but yeah, it is in the end, it is going to be, because a lot of startups and other people are involved. So that is going to be useful. The innovation ecosystem, if you look, there are 5 key players, or the 5 key stakeholders. They need to work together in order to enhance this. So first is, of course, the governments, which makes the regulations and policies. So first is the government, which make the regulations and policies, seek development of new technologies. Then we have the large industries, the corporations, which are kind of provide the vital resources, infrastructure, and institutional expertise. We have universities and colleges which conduct R&D, create new IP, serve as partner to government and private sector, and they can critically help develop the workforce. We have startups which are engines for innovation, often pushing the envelope. Their agility and willingness to take risks are essential to explore cutting-edge application. And then we need a lot of capitals which can come from the private players. So venture capital and private equity funds are important source for capital to early stage and growth stage companies. Now, when we talk about dual use, the role of startups and the small industries, that is going to be very, very critical. So if you look at the history in the last century, the military technologies on the civilian application was mostly driven by the government funding. So in 1958, DARPA was established in response to Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik. DARPA delivered many breakthrough products, but that dominance has changed, because in the current century, what we are seeing is that the disruptive technologies that is being developed by the startups, that has kind of outpaced the government defense department. So in US also, if you see some of the very, very large companies, Amazon, Alphabet, Google, Meta, Facebook, they're all they have outpaced the government defense department. And the rise of the startups has basically impacted in two ways. So one is that the leadership of US has kind of diminished, because the startup and the private industry, when they are working on certain technologies, that is proliferated to the other countries as well. So that is one of the challenge which is there, that the leadership of US is kind of diminished. Coming to the next is the challenge for startups in dual use technology. So one is this regulatory compliances. So there are some there are complex regulatory requirements which often the startups have to meet, and sometimes it becomes difficult for them because of lack of manpower, lack of experience, lack of resources, difficult access to funding. If you look at the history, in the last century, last century, the hardware versus software funding was kind of equal, 55% to hardware, 45% to software, and now it has gone 92 to 8%. So 92% funding is available for software and only 8% for the hardware. That is the situation. So most of the funding is available for the software product and the software being developed by. So that is one of the biggest challenge which the startups are facing. So only commercially viable solutions are adequately funded, and mostly software products are being developed. Their long sales cycle, as we all know, that military, starting from the formulation of the RFP to final acceptance of the product, is very long sales cycle which no startup is able to withstand. So that is another challenge which needs to be addressed. Lack of experience to understand the unique needs of the defense. And then there are the IPR issues. So most of the time when the defense does this procurement, they want the IP with them, but then the startup, they want to keep that IP with them. There are a lot of regulatory aspects which is there in terms of whenever we talk about dual use technologies, in order to prevent its proliferation to criminals and to terrorists.
Dr. Arshad, one more thing.
Yeah, I think, one more slide, I think. Yeah. So Wassenaar Arrangement, Nuclear Supplier Group, Australia Group, MTCR, chemical warfare and biological warfare. So these are some of the regulatory things which basically tries to control some of these dual use technologies from falling into the hands of criminals and terrorists. In the end, the drawbacks, I mean, of course, there are certain drawbacks. So one of the biggest problem with dual use is what is called as the dual use hack. So something which is there for the commercial domain, you just green paint that and then offer to the services. So that is one of the challenge, how to address that. So that the next is the democratization of the technologies. So most of the AI and the autonomy that we today talk about, they are all open source, so they are all available to everyone. So what you are getting may not be state of the art, or may be available with your adversary also. That is another challenge. The startups with cutting edge IP, they are not building directly for military needs. So what it means is that first they have developed for commercial application, and you get after maybe a couple of years. Yeah, thank you.
Completely out of.
Yeah, so I think the conclusion is what I basically talked about. Thank you.
Again, I thank Dr. Arshad for that very informative presentation. And I now invite General Raj Shukla to deliver his remarks. I do hope to keep some time available to us for interaction, Q&A. We started a little late, so I'm determined to seek your indulgence, General, to continue a little beyond 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Right, so the GOCNC Southwest Command, General Manjinder Singh, Panel Chair, Ambassador Sojourn Chinoy. And I must say, sir, that your opening remarks resonated completely with me, because I genuinely think that the national security makeover, which I feel was the boldest since independence, which began in 2014 or whereabouts, is at a very critical time. So I think we have traveled a long way, but we have to get past the tipping point. And the issues that you raised will determine whether or not this national security makeover is completed. So I really thought they were very good insights. My co-panelists, General Mann from the ADB, who's been doing a splendid job for the last 3 to 4 years. Dr. Arshad, Scientist Chief from CARE, soldiers past and present, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Great pleasure to be here, I should say, back in your midst, because I've come to this hall God knows how many times, because I was commanding the corps in Bhatinda, so I was often here, but I do see it wonderfully refurbished. So thank you very much, Southwest Command, SIDM and CLAWS, both for the opportunity and the invite. So, I'll be pretty forthright and even critical, because I do think that we must be as critical before the event than blame game after the event. So I'll give you a very honest view of how I look at civil-military fusion, capability development, and our whole national security reforms. And I also must say that, seminars are extremely critical, and I learned this from General Bipin Rawat. I keep saying this every time. When he was the chief, if he ever came for a seminar, and I did a lot of the seminaring with him because DGPP and as the GOCNC RTRAC, he made it a point to come from 8 in the morning and sit till 8 in the evening. He would not come and give keynote and disappear. He would listen to everything, and then after a week or a fortnight ask, what happened to that? What happened to that? How can I follow it up? So these seminars are extremely important if we, like it's been extremely rich since this morning, but how do we follow this up is equally important. And I've been asked to speak on military-civil fusion as a tool for capability development. So military-civil fusion and not civil-military fusion. So that itself is a very welcome sign if it is by design, because that is how the Chinese use it. If you see, they don't say civil-military fusion. They say military-civil fusion, which is what? That they are not shy of the military being in the lead. The military is the principal driver of the concept and the mission. And just let me give you 4 practical examples to highlight it. What does military-civil fusion mean in the Chinese context? See, if there is a Chinese startup in drones, how will it grow? The military first hand holds it. It gives it the first orders. It gives it the orders and holds its hand till commercial viability. It doesn't just say ki on your own. It's a very smart thing. The really talented smart startups, they hold their hands to destroy adversary competition. So if I know there is a startup X, I will first hold his hand till commercial viability. And now if there is an American startup which he has to compete with, I'll hold his hand to destroy that American startup. This is how they do it. This is one point. Now this is civil-military fusion. So MCF to drive commerciality as also to win in the strategic competition. So I'm saying CMF is just not civilians and military men coming together. It is all the resources of the nation coming together to win the competition. It is about winning. We have to see, is our CMF good enough to beat the Chinese? Are we beating the Chinese that way? They are adversary. That is the metric by which we have to judge. It is just not a few civilian and military minds. I'm just pointing to you to the reality of it. And look in the long run what's happening. The long run, the Chinese, the PLA or the Chinese defense primes get only 28% of their orders from the PLA. Look how wise it is. The orders only 28% from the PLA, बाकी जो सारे profits हैं आप commercial world से कर रहे हैं. And that is exactly the argument of Freedom Forge, which that you need. Chrysler used to make cars and satellites. Ford used to make cars and military equipment. So we have to grow the concept that he chose, Ambassador Chinoy said, 10, 11 years down the line, we should have known 12 startups. These are the national champions of the future. We will give them unlimited funding and not put them to this L1, Shell 1 nonsense. Why I'm saying this is because unless we break these barriers, we are not going to go to the next level. So this is extremely critical. I'll give you another example. Look at DeepSeek. Now, DeepSeek was told just focus on R&D. The money will keep coming to you. And what does it do? It was so heavily helped in R&D that it produces whatever these solutions at 1/20th of cost on Russian GPUs. They were not cutting-edge GPUs. It was cutting-edge talent. 211 engineers driving the DeepSeek. What should worry us is 70% of them had never left the shores of China. They are not American returnees. So the best and the brightest are now in China over so many years of this. And look at this. We all know Jack Ma. Jack Ma was out of favor with Z. How did he get back into the good books of Z? By coming up with QN. QN is the commercial arm of DeepSeek. So now look how civil military fusion, it is beyond civil military metaphor. It is R&D and commerce coming together. DeepSeek doing R&D, Jack Ma doing commerce. And when he does QN, he's welcomed back to the table by Z. If you see, the last, I think this year he was called there. So I'm saying civil military fusion is a very deep concept. It fuses R&D and commerce, talents from startups and big tech, growth, homegrown talent. It has gone beyond those civil military metaphors. It started as that, but now it is talent of any kind, attributes from anywhere, simply to win the national security competition. So this is CMF. And I have a little knowledge on this because I'm doing a book which should be released very shortly. I have studied this in great detail. So I'm telling you, this is what CMF is. It is strategic in outlook. When you take that startup and say you will win the competition and not L1 and can I do this? I mean, we can keep defending our system, but you will not win the competition. It is integrated in execution, R&D, commerce. Look at that. It is a very deep concept. I'll give you one more example. And this is, an absolutely dramatic example. This is classic civil military fusion. So I'm told the Chinese every 10 years look at one technology. 10 years back, they picked batteries, energy. Now, if in India, the Prime Minister says batteries for 10 years, I mean, people will make fun of the whole thing. But look how they do it. They said batteries. Now, in the university system, ADB was talking of universities. This is what they do. They create 450 courses for batteries. Battery, alkaline, battery A, and it's all in the public domain. You go through the lists. There are actually 450 courses. I couldn't have thought that there'll be 450 courses on batteries and allied domains. They create a university in central China on batteries. They link it to the PLA Academy of Military Sciences, civil military fusion, and a whole lot of things. There's an entire generation of people who are graduates, postgraduates, and doctorates in batteries and allied energy sources. And at the end of 10 years, does it now surprise you that BYD is pushing Volkswagen out of the German car market? And the same batteries go into your submarines, they go into your AD systems, this, that, and the other. If a drone today travels 3,000 kilometers, it is batteries. This is civil military fusion. What I'm trying to tell you, it's a very deep concept, craftily thought through, and that is how deep it is. So if we have to beat them through civil military fusion, this is what we'll have to do. I have 20 minutes. I'll just spend 2 to 3 minutes, 5 minutes on the explaining what civil military fusion is. I've already done that. I'll just make a few points more, and then some time on the stock taking of where we are in my view and what we need to do. See, now 11 years down the line, the test of delivery is what? These technologies, products must get to the fleets and formations. Otherwise, they're of no use. This is the asset test. Now we can't say seminar proclamations and AON, SHON. That is of no use. We saw it from the 7th of 10th May. What matters is what reaches the fleets and formations. So that should really be our test, last mile delivery. And so that is what I will dwell on. Just 2-3 points about this military civil fusion, why it is so important. So I am now just I'm presenting to you some of my conclusions. If China leads the field today in the strategic military competition, and there is great evidence, just let me give you one piece of statistics, 2003 to 2007, in all these emerging technologies, I said, USA, the sole superpower, it led in 60 out of 65. Koi nazdeek nahi tha. Then China does civil military fusion, diaspora strategy, 1,000 talents plan. Where 2019 to 2023, 57 out of 65 China leads. Have you heard of a more dramatic inversion in technology leadership? The good news for India is that in about 10, 12 of them, we are number 3. A distant 3, but a number 3. Can we pick 10 technologies and with civil military fusion, say in the next 10 years, we'll be the lead? Why can't we do it? But we have to fix those, catch those 10 and do it. So this is it. If China is ahead of all democracies to include India, it is because of military-civil fusion. And you look at that 1,000 talents plan. See, AMCA, I have my great doubt, will it be done with the kind of talent? When the Chinese did all this, say they picked any domain, quantum, AI, they took the brightest Chinese in any part of the world, gave him rock star pay and got him back. Not really rock star pay, they were rewarding him for his talent. Unless we are willing to take those dramatic steps, we will once again have AMCA with a G engine. We really have to look at these, and it is very much possible. We can do AMCA, but we also have to do this. You cannot keep doing the same thing, you will not get the results. So these are the questions we have to answer. Just 2 more points I make, and we are breaking free of this, but we really have to break out. The problem is that we started in India because of this democracy, this business of militarized society, armies will get too powerful. So we deliberately created these civil military silos. And these silos today are just not civil military, they become private sector, government, military, civil, academia, all silos. Unless we break these silos, we are not going to win this competition. The Chinese, on the other hand, did precisely the opposite. We talk of dual-use technologies. So the intent was good. कि भाई कोई खतरे वाली technology civil से military में ना जाए. But the Chinese are practical. They say all these technologies lie at the cusp of civil military fusion. In AI, what have they proclaimed? Open strategy. They have said in the civil field, for reasons perhaps of surveillance and that close society they are, we will have overwhelming control. But in the military field, they say it will be freewheeling. National interest. We will do precisely the opposite. So if we have to beat the Chinese, we have to revisit all these issues of CMF. Look at how CMF is viewed there. Z says, why build walls of granite between cylinders of excellence? Common sense. But we've gone and done it. We've gone and done it. 2017, he establishes the MCF Development Commission. Who heads it? Z himself. Look at the drivers it will get in all these domains. It is central to Made in China 25 in the next generation AI plan and all that. In our case, what happens? See, look at this, our cooperation with US. ISET is the biggest bugbear. And you look at the new security architecture. Israel gets all its technologies from USA. EW, cyberspace, and all that. Pakistan gets all its technologies from China. And we create ITAR between us. In fact, everything has to be given a relook. Strategic autonomy is very wise. But if strategic autonomy comes in the ways of all these technologies which are going to determine your military preparedness, it deserves a relook. And to me today, we can discuss in the question answer session whether we like the Americans or not, whether Trump is a problem or not. The only option before us is the Americans. Who else? And platforms are not mattering. We have seen from 7th to 10th. You can get whatever platforms. Unless EW, space, cyber, all these technologies come, you're dead. So it has to be the USA. Or who else? We can debate it. So I'm saying all these technologies are civil military fusion, not only connected with this, but all these issues of dual use, strategic autonomy, they are all coming into play. I'll just give you an example of what the Chinese have done. So, it is an integrated view they have taken in terms of ideation, action, and narration. They integrate economics, technologies, the strategic military stuff, taking a long view. Look at rare earths today. The whole world has rare earth deposits. All that the Chinese have done is that they have mined it and they have processed it. They are leaders in that. India has as many rare earths. We haven't done it. Long view. 1980, when Deng says, so what if the Middle East has oil? We have rare earths. It starts from then. Why do they take the long view and why can't we take the long view? We are the democracy. We should be thinking better. Unless we do these, and action, I've told you what they do, and also the narration, cognitive warfare. It is part reality, part fiction. Look at the realities. They are becoming the renewable energy superpower. They are the rare earth superpower. And what is the fiction? This business of drone motherships. कि भाई drone mother कोई AI imagery लेके. So it's very cleverly done by the Chinese and deeply thought through. Their Chinese State Building Corporation, CSSC. There's no time to go into the details. I just make one point. If you just see what they are doing, the leadership in chips and ships is because of civil military fusion. The CSSC, it powers global commerce, maritime commerce, and is also the reason why they have a world-class navy. And look at these, staggering statistics. CSSC produced more commercial vessels by tonnage in 2024 than the entire US shipbuilding industry since World War II. And every day we hear some stunning, this has actually been done. I'm quoting from an American journal. And the commercial network of the CSSC is cleverly designed to concurrently boost China's naval modernization. So 400 ship navy a year down the line. So this is the importance of CMF. In our case, you just see we have taken off, but because of all the legacy issues, I think just 3 days back, the cabinet secretary addressed a communication to all the secretaries of government of India that please meet private sector startups and entrepreneurs. We are even reluctant to meet them. There is still, I hear in government, कि भाई वो private sector वाले हैं, ये वो. Unless we fuse these energies, we have to respect wealth creation, which the private sector does. So all these issues have to be addressed. The military component of the power differential with China, may I highlight to you, is $450 billion annually, year on year. So why am I making this point? That is one reality. $450 billion is what they spend more than you. Now, there are just a couple of ways to close this asymmetry. What could it be? Technological innovation. We've done a great stuff, but we need to do more. 2 is structural corrections like theaterization. And 3 is cultural transformations like MCF. Now, the point is that there is one reality of $450 billion. And if we are going to walk back from all the other things that we need to do, how will we ever take care of China? Look at theaterization. After Sindoor, I think precisely the wrong debates have cropped up. I'll give you an example. We are saying air power is of course salient, but air power in theaterized structures. I'll give you an example. We saw Midnight Hammer. 1980, we all know the Americans, 52 hostages are taken when operation is launched, Eagle Claw. The Americans are in the same state as we are. They have a permanent chairman, Joint Chiefs of Staff, but no theaters, no CENTCOM. So you do a whole business of task force getting together, they rehearse for 5-6 months, it leads to a disaster. Then they do Barry Goat, Walter Nichols, create theater commands in Gulf War I, Gulf War II. Midnight Hammer is not about the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines coming together. It is about STRATCOM, transportation commands, CENTCOM coming together. Israel today is so good because of complete civil military fusion. The Mossad would be nobody without 8200, 9300. 8200, 9300 is the smartest technical minds. And they have created such capacities in space, cyber, EW and all, that from 2006, they knew every night where Nasrallah was sleeping. They only took him out in September 2024. And I'm saying we are making precisely the wrong arguments that Sindoor was about air power, so no need for theaterization. For heaven's sake, let's not do this. It is the same argument will be here, the same argument will be in MCF and all these issues. So we really have to look at this. What are the things that we can do? And there are a whole lot of them. Just let me propose 3. We are talking of AI all this while. Now we have talked of it for 5 years. Let's start do something about it. What can we do? I'm saying do AI enablement of northern and eastern commands. How do you do it? Identify AI partners for LLMs and AI agents. AI agents are really the combat products of AI, OODA loop, decision making, predictive analysis, in surveillance targeting, and give them these contracts for womb to tomb exploration. explore, discover, and deploy. And where does this idea come from? Trump Hexit. Within 1 month of taking over, they said, enough of this talking on AI, what is your action? They picked Indcom, Eurocom. And they were told, ki, sir, Microsoft ko order nahi de sakte, or Anduril ko nahi de sakte. They are the best in the business. But all these rules that we talk of, Hexit and Trump signed one order, OTA. And the orders for LLMs have been given to Microsoft, and the orders for AI agents have been given to Anduril. And they've said, here's your money. These are the combat objectives. 2 years, produce what you want. No GSQR, nothing this. And so I'm saying they are doing this. In our case, let me give you one statistic and what we need to do. My information tells me that the last year or this year, the startups, IDEX, is the time finished, sir? Okay, so can I just take 2 minutes and I'll wind up? The startups and the IDEX, we have been talking so much about it. See the reality. This year or last year, the Air Force has given 0 orders. The Army has given 1 order. The Navy has given 13 orders, and all 13 have been stalled by the IFA. So we really have to ask the FADS and the IFA, how will innovation happen if this is kind of regulation? The problem is that in IDEX, which started off well, we are replicating regulation. You'll kill it. So many good things, and I can go on. And so the 1 or 2 questions, and I'm giving examples what you can do in AI. Look at drones, how it started. Drones is another area. We had these normal drones. Somebody put a camera, I'm just simplifying it. Somebody put a chip, and somebody put a battery. So today, when GPS signals are jammed, this limited computer vision and that AI chip allows you auto tracking. It allows you auto selection of targets. And so you have these dramatic things that we see have been done. Drones taking out, strategic assets, nuclear assets. So if you believe in a thing and you remove this regulation, all this is possible. But if you don't believe in it and understand in its depth, I'm afraid this national security makeover, which began so well, may just flounder. And it's, in that spirit we have to see, and the issues which are coming in the way, it is no reflection on the IFAs. They have been brought up in that culture. They have to be called out and said, let's discuss it. This just will not work. But if you keep doing the same thing, you first kill the DAP, now you will kill innovation. And the last point that I wish to make, is for this, because this is an audience of pretty senior people. I think for very long we have blamed the political class. Over the last 2 to 3, 4 years, the political class is saying, go and do this. Let's say DRDO reform, we say more time. The armed forces say theaterization, we want more time. Let me ask one honest question. Since the CDS has been created, what major reform has been carried out? People will ask this question. This is being asked in whispers, they'll become loud, and no better place to address these issues than in seminars like this. We have to be honest. Each is preaching to the other. We are saying, DRDO reform kar do, but hum nahi karenge. The political class is no longer to blame. There was a time when they were fairly to blame. This time, we saw 1 lakh crores, all kinds of stuff is being given. But if we can't put this piece right, the next stage of reforms, and I'll give you example by example, to include civil-military fusion, it's not going to happen. Just let me end with one more thing. This business came about, Musk. If you go abroad, or why abroad? Many of the developing societies, you meet young people, they talk of building companies. कि सर मैंने वो कंपनी खड़ी की थी, फिर वो कंपनी निकल गई, मैं दूसरी. India में, I'm in UPSC now, the whole focus is in coming to government. Unless we can change this culture, why are people converging to government? Is it because of the power of regulation? We have to change the ethos of the civil service, which is what? They are well-intentioned people, but all we are told is reduce the risk. You have to create a body which creates the risk. If you don't create risk, you're not beating the Chinese. Look at Elon Musk. I'll just end with this, because before Ambassador Chinoy rings the bell again, last. When I was growing up, space was this wondrous thing. We said space, kuch countries karte hain, USSR, USA, even India. But it was talked of in hushed tones as this big thing. In comes Elon Musk and makes the country thing a company thing. And he was not helped. He fought with the Air Force. He fought with DARPA. Nobody helped him. But just talent and will. And he's brought the cost down. Today, the partner of US Spacecom, unless he gets into trouble with Trump, I don't know. But the partner with of Spacecom is not Boeing, not Lockheed, but Elon Musk. Last point, you would have heard of this, just one, sir, because this is a very important one. This detachment 201, if you heard, Shyam Shankar, CTO Palantir, Andrew Bosworth of Meta, Kevin Wall of OpenAI, Bob McGrew of Thinking Machines Lab, they have been brought in as innovationists given the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. You know why? Because that DIU didn't work enough. When the DIU floundered, they created Futures Command. Futures Command didn't work enough. So Trump and Hegseth asked them, if we have to beat the Chinese at technological innovation, what must we do? He said, get these 4 people. They are from the best startups, Palantir, and I told you all this, Meta and all that, best. And they've said, sir, if they are kept out of government, to army carry, unko hum data nahi share kar sakte. You know Trump and Hegseth. So you can't share data, get them into the armed forces. They are lieutenant colonels now. Detachment 201, their one job is to drive technological innovation, rapid solutions. I'm telling you that we are at that phase, and I'm just going back to what Ambassador Chinoy, all the issues that he had raised, despite all our intent, we are not getting, in my view, to the next phase unless we tackle some of these issues that I have raised, and the examples are obvious. Thank you.
Thank you, General Shukla, for a very enlightening talk. I had said all I wanted to write at the very beginning, and the panelists have added great value to their own remarks. We are clearly past 1 o'clock now, but since we've been allowed a little more time, I'd like to throw it open to participation from the audience. I'd request you to kindly make your remarks brief, precise, and in the form of a question, because we have very little time. And also identify the panelist to whom the question is addressed.
May I, sir? Firstly, compliments to the chair at the cost of going against what you have just desired. Allow me to dilate one small issue. 20th of January 2025, DeepSeek was launched by China. As a student of geopolitics, strategy, and security, led me to think, carried out research. I wish to share something in consonance with what General Mann covered, as also the DeepSeek, which was alluded to by General Rashopur. There are a large number of findings. What made China achieve DeepSeek, which turned out to be a kind of a black swan event in technology? Here is my finding. Please allow me.
So, would you
Sir,
like me
in
to comment?
2000, so I'll take 1 minute. I'll quickly sum it up. In the year 2000, China had 9,038 PhD in STEM. USA had 18,280. In the year 2010, in between, China launched some kind of a scheme. They had PhD students had gone up to 34,801. USA was left behind with 26,007. In 2019, China had reached a figure of 49,498. They had left USA far behind at 33,750. That is for the first time, sir, in the international journal, India's name came up. And they brought out that India had 700 PhD scholars with STEM. Out of 700, 70% had migrated and become foreign citizens. And in the year 2025, China has got 77,179, USA 39,959. India's figures are not still. And second and last point is the world-class scientists. China was way behind in 2018. In 2024, it has left you far, far behind. This is the point which I wish to highlight, since you are at a place, pivotal place where people, the voice is being heard. Perhaps the education system has to be focused by our country. Perhaps people down in the primary and the secondary education, they need to be oriented towards science and technology. Only then we go on an orientation or a progressive growth that China has actually. Thank you.
Thank you, General, for your very perceptive remarks. And since I lived in China way back more than 40 years ago as a young officer and dealt with them and still continue to deal with them and interact with them, I can tell you that it's a very different China from the one to which I was posted up from Hong Kong in the early 80s. The Chinese then had nothing, practically nothing. It's in the 1950s, a number of files in our archives that tell you that India used to actually provide technology to China, whether it was in the railway sector or whether it was in agriculture or for raising the Murrah buffalo, for which embryos used to be sent from India. It was India that was the lodestar for technology for all developing countries in the 1950s, and China was included in that. My visit to China not too long ago, 10 days ago, reveals on a continuous basis the tremendous changes that are actually happening there. So they are a very high-tech state now. And that's a far cry from what I had first seen China in the late 70s and early 80s. One of the reasons why they've succeeded is because of what General Shukla also mentioned, this military civil fusion. It was easier for them because the Communist Party of China was a very military, radical, revolutionary party that came through the crucible of the Long March, and all the early leaders were PLA top brass, including Mao, Tang, and all these people. So they were visionaries that brought to the fore in their own persona and thinking the military civil fusion that we are still trying to achieve in India. So that was a remarkable facet of their development. The other part, very briefly, is their focus on an all-of-nation approach, a great emphasis on control, tremendous funding, creation of clusters, and very tight monitoring through regular plans, multiplicity of efforts, but conjoining them again at various levels. So I think that's something that we can also learn from them. What we shouldn't be learning from them is their broad, immoral approach to technology also, which is a beg, buy, borrow, steal kind of an approach. And I'm not advocating that we follow that route. Thank you. Any other questions, please? And then please direct them to the panel.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Jai Hind,
okay.
sir.
All right.
Brigadier Rajpurohit, sir. My question is to General Shukla and General Man. And this pertains to the gap that has been created now with the streamlined, exponential, and radial growth as explained by the system, and the system that has been split apart by General Shukla. So where do we find the way forward? It is actually disillusioned. All that we have spoken for last 2 days, we find that there are so many holes and gaps and all. With all positivity and good hope, where do you see, in what time frame, that we shall be able to put our beats together and grow
So
in the
I
same
request
manner?
you to briefly address that, and then General Shukla also.
Sir, I can only say this, that our journey into this whole thing has started very recently, and we're learning from it. Be it the government, it's primarily after 2014, and I'll quote what I think mentioned last time also, that today we really can't compare ourselves with the Western world at that rate, wherein the industry started during Second World War. In our case, when has the industry started? It's only after 2014, and primarily after 2020, when this Atmanirbharta and all has actually come in. So most of our industry is in teens, and very few of it in teens, and most of it is in infancy. It will take time. So is the case with with the government or with us also, that we're learning through this process. But yes, it's required to be changed at a very fast pace. One example, what even Raj Shukla mentioned about the IDEX cases, very true. A project gets developed in 2 years as per Chapter 3 of DAP. When the procurement has to be done, that has to be done as per Chapter 2 of DAP. So we get back into the procurement cycle, which takes another 2 years. So that's the reason for last 1 year, I've been insisting this with the MOD, and finally they've agreed to it at present, that unless you have a separate chapter, rather I wanted to take it out from DAP, have it totally what General Raj Shukla mentioned about something like OTA, that other transaction authority of USA. Unless we have a thing like that, it's very difficult actually to utilize what is coming out of IDEX at the pace at which it should be done. Thank you.
General Shukla, but before you do, please give a thought to what I had said earlier. I have expressed this earlier as well, that we need an apex level body, some kind of a defense technology council, if you please, which will actually decide who will do what and which are the technologies that, for example, the DRDO and DPSUs will touch and which will go to the private sector. And then we have to create centers of excellence wherever it's possible. The Chinese, of course, did that, and you know, they also don't have educational institutions involving local political interests. So we have to avoid that in our system also. Otherwise, we have very large numbers of centers of higher learning, but the graduates that come out of that have to be retrained often, even in regard to the subjects that they have graduated in. General Shukla?
See, I'm being critical not because I'm despondent. I'm saying a lot of good things have happened, but I'm pointing out to these things. If you don't do it, you will flounder, and they are very obvious things. So why can't we simply do it? I'll just expand on this. Did you ever think, I never thought in my lifetime, you know, the first time I spoke about a CDS, General Dushant was my instructor, a particular service chief said, cut off that slide, we don't recognize that term. But we got a CDS. And we not only got a CDS, I mean, this is General Sinha's birth centenary. He first spoke about MOD integration. You were given DMA. Now, having done all that, what have we done thereafter? And if I don't raise the issue now, somebody will raise it 1 year later or a year later. So it is good to be self-critical. Also, but I'm also saying what can be done. For example, I'm saying, and I'm repeatedly making this point, ये जो reforms, ये जो financial reforms हैं, इसमें कितनी बड़ी बात है यार. आप मेरे को दे दो, मैं 10 दिन में लिख दूंगा क्या करना है. But I'm appealing to the FADS. He's a senior most man in the system. When he knows these things are blocking it, why can't he just sit with his people and do it? Actually, you don't want to apply your mind, copy Sham Shankar. Copy, read Unitex, they've done exactly what. But उसको हम कहते हैं अमेरिकन को नहीं करना कॉपी. अच्छा, अमेरिकन को नहीं करना है, चाइनीज को कर दो. चाइनीज को नहीं करना है, खुद को कर दो. But कुछ तो करो. What is this that I will not change when the world is changing? And I'm talking to the highest, appealing to the highest functionaries in this country. We have to do it. Or कौन करे? See, it is DRDO. We all like DRDO, but we also know DRDO is underperformed. We want DRDO to deliver. What is it? If DRDO seriously reforms, it will deliver. But if it does not seriously and completely reform, it will not deliver. Theaterization, either I'm right or I'm wrong. If we don't theaterize, there'll be grim consequences. Not just for the heck of it. Because national security, you just see, geopolitics is extremely brutal. You don't reform, those realities will hit you in the face. So these are the arguments I'm making. Look at R&D. But everything is a matter of depth. People raised R&D in the morning. I'll give you a set of figures. The US spends $975 billion annually on R&D. But $700 billion come from the private sector. They don't have to be told, यहाँ हम कह रहे हैं हम 1 lakh crore देंगे उनको. क्यों? What the private sector needs is orders. You will give them doles, but you will not give them orders. You are killing startups because you are not giving them orders. All that they need is orders, orders, and orders. They are talented people. And just one last point, if I may just make, you know, the whole irony is this, that our civilizational text spoke of Saraswati, Lakshmi, or Durga ka Mishran. How wise. To create these centers of excellence, Nalanda, Allahabad University, which will generate talent. This talent will create technology. That technology will create wealth. Lakshmi, and from that Lakshmi nurse Durga. We are lead in civil military fusion, but now we are learning MCA from the Chinese. So we have to just revisit all these things, common sense stuff. One last point, Ambassador Chinoy is of the view that technologies are not, they are taken morally. I am saying technologies are also taken immorally. Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed. This is such an important issue that reverse engineering and all also has to be done. So these are all the challenges, and in seminars like these deep debates have to happen. But anything that you think, you know, is despondent, don't be. I've told you, CDS was a jaddo-jahad of 50 years, but it happened one day. So many of these things will happen, but we must raise them. That's the point.
Take a question. General, would you permit? Because this is the last session. Oh, of course, by all means. We face eviction otherwise. I mean,
Yeah, basically, we have been hearing what Raj has been speaking and what Man has been speaking about, we should do this, we should do away with L1, we should, straight away identify national champions. The problem
I'm
with
sorry,
this-
I said that right in the beginning.
yeah, I mean,
So you can first blame me for that.
no. I'm also saying the same thing
Okay, good.
over and over again. Problem, what I'm saying is that the political leadership is somehow now getting around this idea of speeding up our defense production, etc., development. It's the process which is being followed by the bureaucracy, which, in my view, is actually retarding our progress. What can we do now? I mean, the next stage should be what can we do to change the mindset of the
I
bureaucracy?
give you a brief answer, General, and you can continue to say
No,
something.
I'm
if you
just
like.
saying what can we do to change this?
50% of all posts in the Department of Defense, not DMA, should be tenanted by people in uniform. This is something I've been saying since 2012. My last year in the NSCS, I had made that recommendation. It's like, what is it now, 13 years later? I'm still saying the same thing. You have the DMA, but in the DOD, you create 50%. 50% of the post should be people from the armed forces. The 50% can be civilian. So then you will get better results. And the real civil military fusion or military civil fusion, whichever way you want to put it, will come, and blossom if you have that kind of a tandem. Can I take one or two questions? Last one from the left flank. The right flank is done and over with.
I am Colonel Jagdish, sir. Sir, my point of view regarding the military-civil fusion. Till the time we don't put our interest in the national interest, whether it is civil side, sir, that is, or the government side. Because what is happening, sir, the major players of defense manufacturing, they are keeping their profit interest above the national interest. That is one point, sir. Secondly, on the other side, we need to hold the hands of the private players, because there is lot of expenditure in R&D. Like, for example, what Army Design Bureau General Chima has said, sir, NCNC trials, IFA, these are the things which are these are creating hurdles also, because NCNC trials, there is a cost to the trials. So we need to fund the private players. Failures will be there. We need to hold the hands of the private players. Yesterday we were talking about the TDF, Technology Development Fund. Some 100 crores were sanctioned in 2015, but it could not materialize. So these are the hurdles. So there is a need to create some head, like Chinoy sir had said, at the apex level, which can bring all the talents, all the minds together.
And
Whether
account
it
for
is-
failures as well.
Yes, sir.
And account for failures.
Definitely, sir. So they can, this apex body can force all the talents or all the scientists and all the minds together and to push them forward. That is my point of view. Thank you, sir.
I think you made a very valid point, Colonel. And there is this chicken and egg part of it, which various panelists have also alluded to, that you need to support the private sector, but the private sector is not often in the front ranks of those that want to put their money where their mouth is. They obviously work on the primary principle of profit making. So unless they have, assured orders, they're not willing to spend any money. And therefore, we must not also disregard the fact that it is in the public sector where they actually do work. I cannot say it's without the profit principle, but they have the wherewithal to do things on a priority basis, even when the private sector is not really interested in putting money in critical technologies. But I did say that the DPSUs have a tendency to underbid also, and that cuts out the competition from the private sector. I think we can end on that note. It only remains for me to thank.
Sir,
Oh, please, if you permit, the floor is open.
sir, I just have 2 points to make, sir. Firstly, General Shukla made a point of $900 billion being invested in the R&D, out of which 700 billion is by the civil industry. Why can't our civil industry, which is having the CSR of 5% of 2 to 3 years coming to R&D only, why can't they do it? Secondly, the IPL, which makes mammoth amount of money, 3 years of IPL profits coming to R&D. Why can't it be done? It's just a policy which has to be taken. Thirdly, you made a point regarding the education, the primary and the secondary education at our villages, the districts and the cities. It is because the teachers are the worst paid in India. They don't show that kind of interest in maybe inciting the technological know-how of the people or the students. That is my.
General, I agree with you. All those are valid points. And there's someone raising his hand behind you. So that's the very last one, please. Very last one.
Sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So please, let's end on that note.
My one doubt, question would be, after listening General Shukla sir, that during such seminar, shouldn't we invite PCD also to give something and all IFA, so they realize what is the requirement of early processing, timely or not laying unnecessary restriction for that development.
It's it's between you and the army commander. Please, please. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, please.
At the highest level, I kept on requesting the was that yeah, Deepti, and she kept on giving me one reason or the other.
Deepti is not FADS.
She's not FADS, but
Yes.
she's also of the same
Additional secretary.
fraternity, and
Yes.
she deliberately avoided it for no rhyme or reason. And next day, I actually fired her.
I'll
I
talk to her.
So basically, I think we need these people to come in, and this is a thing which has to be projected at the highest level. They generally avoid it. I haven't seen them coming to such seminars.
You see, I'm becoming more and more unpopular. More and more popular with the armed forces, more and more unpopular with the other side, because I have made strange recommendations also that nobody can touch a file pertaining to technology or acquisitions of equipment for the armed forces without actually having gone and spent some time in the field and stayed with the end users, last mile posts, without any VIP treatment. Then you come back and look at the file. So things will improve, but let's work in tandem. You and I are, of a feather, so we should flock together. We, in any case, have a good fusion between IDSA and clause. And thank you all very much. I particularly want to thank the panelists for their very erudite comments, and I wish you good health, success in all your endeavors. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we've come to the end of session 5, the final session of the 2-day technical seminar. I thank all the speakers and the moderator for an invigorating discussion on the military-civil technology fusion. I now request General Officer Commanding-in-Chief, Southwestern Command, to present a memento to our esteemed dignitaries. Ambassador Sujan R. Chunoy, Lieutenant General Raj Shukla, Major General C.S. Maan, Dr. Arshad Jamal, I now request the panelists of session 4 to please come up on the stage and accept their token of appreciation. Dr. Meena Mishra, Mr. Yatan Kumar Mishra, sir, I request you to please felicitate Colonel Tanushree Banerjee.
Sir, I request you to please felicitate co-MC for the seminar, Ms. Shivangi Singh Rao.
May I now request the General Officer Commanding in Chief for the closing address first?
Distinguished guests, very good afternoon to each one of you. All events have to close, so is this tech seminar. But I think in the last 2 days, we had a very incubating discussion, a lot of good ideas, a lot of good information which we have received. So when we started the seminar, it was a twofold aim. One was to also educate the large community of young officers in my command, which are listening on BC, to understand what is happening in the country. Where are we going in technology? What's happening in industry? What's the army doing itself? And what's the government doing itself? So this kind of whole challenge, we try to bridge in a day and a half over 5 sessions. We'll just take stock of that. But I'm very happy that each one, the speaker, the moderators, everyone delivered their content very well. And a lot of good ideas, even within the panels also. Many people learn from each other also. I'm very sure even there have been a lot of seminars in Delhi, but this seminar, everyone must have taken some more information than what he actually arrived with. Once he goes back from Jaipur, the pink city, his knowledge will get enriched. And if he spends more time, his experience will also get more enriched. I'd like to thank Clause and SIDM being our partners in this journey. It took us multiple iterations, but they're very, very positive to help us out in charting out our panels, structuring the whole program so that the deliverables are best. Just to likely go small, that 5 sessions we had and how we structured it. The first one was at the level of how recent conflicts are happening and how technology is driving those conflicts. That's the first seminar. We had 5 speakers for that, 3 on BC, which is one was from speaking from Armenia, second was from Israel, and third was speaking from Ukraine. Those are the people who actually participate in conflicts. And we had 2 speakers physically present here, senior officers present here. They presented a very good idea of how the technology was used in Azerbaijan-Armenia war, of our own Op Sindoor, and especially with General Bakshi being here, who is part of track to diplomacy, how Pakis think about it. So we've got a very good comprehensive idea how world is fighting conflicts, how India is likely to fight conflicts, and what should be the way our technology should go forward. That's the first session we had. Second was understanding India's system of development and what are the weaknesses toward that. Again, we had a very good discussion yesterday in the afternoon, after lunch. There was a second session, which we had. And that session brought out a lot of good points in that where is we heading, and that understanding of 20, 20, 40 percentage, and where we are 57, 22, and 11 new systems. So we definitely need to do much better in that. So a lot of gaps were understood, and our understanding at the national level happened. What efforts have been made. Again, these issues like bureaucratic structures, all the hassle and all were brought on the table on that. So that's how the understanding went to what the national level is doing. Then we had 2 special sessions on 2 main technologies. Last evening on the AI was the first session, or technology-based session. How AI is going to drive the battlefield and what are we doing in that. There also we got a good understanding of AI, where are we there, and also went to the morality of the AI. What's India's stand in the government group of conventions, UN convention, all that thing was made to understand that AI has got all technology of both sides, plus and minus. AI can deliver, AI can also be roguely used. Understanding by the audience on power of AI, disruptive, as also it can be misused. And what's the laws being framed, we understood that part. And today morning, we had 2 special speakers, one coming from DRDO, making understand what DRDO is giving all domains, land systems, air systems, and water systems. Similarly in cyber and other systems, what DRDO is doing at that. What was the legacy, what they're doing today, what they look at present and next generation. So very good understanding, a comprehensively put together in a very 20 minutes of speech by the DRDO scientists. Then we have rep from the government, who's looking after the Department of Science Technology Development Board, to make sure that what government is focused, how we are looking at that. These 2 speakers brought in a lot of new information, which I also learned myself at this service. I'm very sure many other serving and people, the veteran community learned a lot on that. And then followed by 2 very, very interesting sessions. First one on autonomous systems and second one on military civil fusion. Each one was very, very aptly covered and a lot of lessons have come out of it. Now, having said that, what is the way forward? Firstly, what was my aim as Army Commander? Because technology is the driver of future battlefield. Is my commanders techno commanders? Where are they today? What understanding is there? I keep going on field and keep asking this question and keep encouraging to learn technology and say that general cadre is ignorant of technology. This is my very pet statement. If general cadre is the one who leads army to the way we are structured, ignorant of technology, then how will fight technology-driven war? So either general cadre learn technology or they leave leading army. So please understand over these 2 days, each one you put your heart on your hand, the serving community I'm talking. Where are you in technology? How much understanding do you have? What do you want to use it for the war? In your own formation, units and all. I'm very sure these 2 days should have given you that jolt to understand that. Second is that we wanted to understand what are system available, order that and all. Third, we have a display exhibition also, which has also given a lot of understanding. And then get to know at a higher level of MGs and above what are systems and processes in a country. So all those, I think, aims have been achieved for the seminar. Now is how to take it forward. We will be definitely compiling it as a kind of report with help of clause, with recommendations part, executive summary, and recommendation what should be done under each part, specifically to the DOD. We are making recommendation to DMA, we will make recommendation to service chiefs. After that, we hope that the senior leadership of the military will take it forward to fruition and at least some portion of it get executed, implemented. Many things in progress. We got to know that the report is being asked from NSAB also about how to reform the procurement process, which Dr. Alok Joshi told us that they're going to submit the report by next about 15-20 days. We should be hoping that that should take some decisions, because this has been announced even by the Raksha Mantri that we are reviewing the defense acquisition process. But the process was being delivered by NSAP. We got to know here. We are hopeful that they'll also take the lead and things will definitely move. Because once the political leadership has announced the new normal will be met by military only by combination of efforts of whole of nation approach. Though we can fight as is, where is, we should be prepared as soldiers. What we have, I'll fight. But to fight better and come out successful in the conflict is the most important requirement. That's why we want all effective units and formations. Effective mean any skirmish at a local level, section level, platoon level, troop level, we will come out success. And whole of nation is to enable us to achieve that effectiveness. As soldiers, we should learn technology, to use it, and also drive new tactics. I'm very sure that each one of you have come benefited from this section and this session. Everyone must have taken that. Similarly, some children also participated. Their mind must have got incited to join in some tech formula. We try to make effort toward that. And everyone should take it forward from here. Whatever you may be part of industry, academia, senior leadership, think tank, we must keep articulating these point of views earlier. In the last session in military civil fusion, unless we walk the talk in military, we will again fail the bus. As Jan Shukla alluded, that there is a lot of air about that we are going back post-Sindoor. That talk must be scrubbed very, very critically and every stage. The only way to move forward is to organize structures jointly and not jointly work. Unless you create structures, organizations, and have a sport to run those organizations, the jointness does not happen. That way, establishment of theatre command is the most essential need of the hour, and nothing more than what has been noticed in Sindoor, whatever may be the thing. Unless we work jointly, because at field level, there are 30 agencies working to coordinate drones. How can you work? The small attack of drone, there is JADC, there is division commander, there is BSF, there is base commander. So how do you control it? Unless you have joint structures. Authorization authority flows in the joint structures and the commander who controls joint structures. Unless we create, unless the voice force to create it, if some organs don't agree, I am very sure it has to be top driven down. The need is more felt post of Sindoor. Has been articulated some of them, which is not less. Top Sindoor was a very small thing, and what did we fly? So is there a system to review the airspace control? Because earlier only aircraft flew in the airspace. Today loiter ammunition, infantry UAV, RT UAV, drones, everyone is going to use the airspace. The number of airspace users in the combat area will be 95% will be under the army control. So JADC, which used to control airspace in earlier times, control the whole air, needs a total review. The Air Force Authority is the TBA, should rest with the Corps Commander. The holding Corps Commander should become Airspace Controller Authority, because he is the one whose maximum sets are there. For example, 10 Corps General Shukla commanded, which is under us here, has got so many units deployed. Each unit is going to have a now loiter ammunition and drone going to fly. And there are 3 air bases. So if you just take stock of the physical numbers of the airspace users, which have multiplied so many times, we need to review our restructures. Then only it will become effective. Otherwise, one trying to control other, so there is a big trouble. All these things are also under deliberation. I just thought I'll labor a little more onto it and seek also some insight, the views of the veterans also, because they are the people who can rethink about it. This is a very important part we learned in Ops Sindoor, sir. That's why the last point I told is also need some understanding from veterans. How to understand, because changing nature with the drones and loiter ammunition changes the shape of the battlefield from purely on the ground in the vertical domain by both Army, Navy, Air Force. So how do we then control that domain? Because we are now grown up. First fight is going through the air, whether short distance or long distance. The distances changes, but the fight is going the first step, not going on the grounds. Unless we control the low end air, long air, the fight is still continuing on sides of highway. We need to rethink about that. How is the shape of TBA changing this? If shape of TBA is changing, then how do we control the TBA? The next question to be answered. There are a few things which I said. I also in the end leave it with the veterans. During the break, I got a suggestion from one of the participating members from industry that in European countries, the sessions are generally followed by something called a breakout session, where people have ideas. They do not get time to participate here. So we are going to open this breakout session. I should have included in a separate room simultaneously, but we learned this lesson. But for present session, we can have this if there are sufficient numbers want to participate that. So before I make it compulsory, we have breakout session. The idea is that if you have listened to all these things and you have an idea to share, you want something more to be done about that, you can come separately and our officers will be there to listen to your idea. So all those who are willing to participate can come back to this hall at 3 o'clock for about 1 hour. Our MG EME will organize that breakout session. So your ideas will be recorded, registered, and suitable action also will be initiated in that. In the end, just means me to thank each and every one of you for being part of it as participants, as listeners, as also whatever you display plates have been played. Each one has added value to understanding, and I'm very sure Southwestern Command is definitely on the way to become techno commanders. I want my commanding officers, formation commanders as techno commanders now. Unless we become techno commanders, we are not doing justice to our job in the future warfare. With these concluding remarks, thank you everyone. Enjoy your tenure, balanced time in Jaipur, and carry these good words and take it forward to the conclusion wherever you are posted. Thank you very much, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Mr. Ramesh K, DG SIDM, for the vote of thanks.
Lieutenant General Manjinder Singh, GOCNC, Southwestern Command, senior officers from the Western Command, Indian Army, retired officers, state government officials, industry members, members from the media. Good afternoon to all. It's my pleasure to propose the vote of thanks for being part of this, what has been truly a high impact and forward-looking gathering. This event, organized by Southwestern Command, Society of Indian Defence Manufacturers, and DG and the class, witnessed the participation of over more than 100 plus delegates, including senior officials from the armed forces, policy makers, industry leaders, startups, academia. Your insights, ideas, and active engagement have made today's deliberations rich and productive. Throughout the sessions, we have explored the technologies that are defining modern warfare, be it AI-enabled systems, electronic warfare, cyber capabilities, autonomous platforms, or next-gen materials. What emerged clearly is that preparedness today demands more than just strength, demands speed, precision, adaptability, and sovereignty. I thank the entire Southwestern Command and the team for the conceptualizing this tech seminar, which fits into the demand of infusing technology and security doctrine. GOCNC has actually summed up in all the details. Some of the very few highlights are the takeaways. Takeaways are need of the hour in clarity in approach at all three levels, future, contemporary, historical, or legacy technology. It came out very clearly that system demands collaborative, interactive, transparent drive by the three pillars: user, manufacturer, and policy enabler. The core fundamental directive being Make in India and indigenization and self-reliance. Joint ventures, associations, consortiums model will remain fundamental. Some of the Make in India, which will always be at a premium in cost, tech, capability, and scaling of economy. Industry, besides patriotism, looks for a commercial entity as well. Procurement acquisition cycle cannot be longer than technology cycle. Today's dynamics of geopolitical and security do not allow security forces to wait for 5 years to receive equipments. Simplification of trials is important. Policy and procedural reviews, DAP 2020, which is ongoing, it facilitates ease of doing business, and we play a very important role in collating inputs, analyze it, and submit to the government for a speedy and a simplification of DAP 2020. This tech seminar with state government being there, today it offers a very best opportunity for setting up a regional and trial and testing nodes. It can provide MRO facilities, and the state can come up with policy incentives for industry to set up their companies. With over 40 plus companies across key domains, have underscored the growing maturity of Indian defense manufacturing. From niche startups to leading defense firms, the innovations on display are a testament to the spirit of Atmanirbhar Bharat. To build on this momentum today, SIDM remains committed to support this transformation. Let me end by saying this Sapta Shakti Tech is more than an event. It is a step forward in shaping India's defense future. The collaboration and momentum we have seen today must now translate into lasting partnerships and real-world solutions. Thank you once again for your presence and contribution. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With this, we come to the close of the powerful two-day technical seminar on Next Generation Combat, Shaping Tomorrow's Military Today, in collaboration with SIDM and Center for Land Warfare Studies. On behalf of the organizing committee, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all for the active participation, and special thanks to the speakers and panelists whose expertise and perspectives have added immense value to the event. To the organizing committee, thank you for your dedication and behind-the-scene work that made this seminar a success. Thank you once again. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
जायचं म्हणजे अजित दिसायचं स्विमिंग बंद कर. राईट